just kind of just keep talking. There was this video, dude, that you sent me that I thought was very powerful from a woman creator. And it was all about the chemistry of love versus the behavior of love.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I thought this was pretty powerful just because, honestly, man, at the end of the day, dude, let me see if I can just play it real quick.
Yeah.
Right here.
Mm-hmm.
And then they pretty quickly, like within a year or two, decide to spend the rest of their life with a stranger. And then those drugs wear off for everybody. It's anywhere from 6 months to 3 years, but they disappear. Now they do come back from time to time, but you're never going to have that massive, amazing, really feel good drug high again, although there are ways to trick it. So for me, I believe that love is a behavior. Love is a choice. It's a decision. It's an action. It's a way of being. Well, falling.
Yeah. This was. Oh wow. Okay. She's going.
Boy.
You know.
I'll make
Me and you.
dough, but don't call me dough, boy.
Classic.
Ice
Ice
Cube.
Cube. Classic
Yeah.
Ice Cube.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think this is something that's so controversial because we are caught up in the overmanagement of our feelings in our modern society. So much of what we do is driven by feelings because everything is feelings oriented. Your customization of your iWatch, your customization of your MacBook, the customization of many of the items that you use on a daily basis or have to interact with on a weekly basis are customized to your needs. We know from the Daniel Goleman book on emotional intelligence, emotion plays a big role in our decision making, whether we want to admit it or not. Even when you're logical, we have Think Fast, Act Slow by Kahneman. He said that we actually make decisions based on emotion, then we use logic to justify it. So we are very emotion-based creatures, and I think, you know, this is something that's been surfaced now with great research over the last couple of years. But I think it's been accentuated with our customization culture, our personalization culture, that has just taken a grip on many of our service industry encounters and many of our products that we interact with. And now we then turn to our love life and we try to customize people and personalize people. That same market calculus or that same product calculus or service industry calculus gets applied to our relationships, and people aren't products to be customized. They are really as it. Now you can make some calibrations or enhancements, but a car is never going to transform into a jet. I know the 1980s Hasbro cartoons had you believe in that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Despite what
I know
Saturday
they had
morning cartoons told you, that ain't happening. Starscream is not turning into Bumblebee out here.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not happening.
Exactly.
It's not
Even
happening.
them, they'd be like, wait a minute, I'm the jet. You're the punch buggy. Like, wait a minute, what's
Yeah,
going on here?
It's not happening, yo.
You, no matter what you do, now you can make the car go faster. You can add an exhaust engine. You can do all these change outs. But even then, if you souped up a Honda to go super fast in a race, you're racing with other Hondas. There are cars that are designed to go that fast, and you'll never even match their speed or velocity or their capability or capacity. So you'll get enhancements, but eventually there's only so many modifications you can make. It's like plastic surgery. You can get some modifications, but eventually the body's like, all right, we're going to start breaking that because there's only so many modifications you can make. Yeah. You are who you are. That's the end of it. You did some lips, you did some hips, you did some butts, you did some penises, you did some calves. Now you're trying to do a skull. Now the body's like, hey, listen, man, it's been real. Bing, bing.
This is where I get off.
Yeah, what can you do?
Yeah.
And I think that we apply that to people in our relationships, recognizing there's going to be enhancements and opportunities for calibration, but you're with a Honda, you're with a Honda. You can't turn a Doberman Pinscher into a Terrier. Can't turn a Terrier into a Rottweiler.
I like why you said that people are not products, people are not projects.
Yeah, there's something that you take as is.
You cannot customize them.
Yeah, there is
growth.
growth.
Tweak them. You can't tweak them to you. Yeah.
There is growth. There is growth, and there should be growth, especially if there are, to keep with our product line, bugs that are making the software run incorrectly or errors. But even that, and you know me, you talk about this all the time with our marriages, respectively, and our relationships, respectively. At what point do you engage with someone, even with their flaws, and give them the love they need? This is what she's talking about. It leaves the feelings environment, it leaves the drugs wear off, and it leaves the super emotional states that you have when you're around them, and becomes a behavior, becomes a practice, becomes a habit, becomes an important part of how you navigate life within a serious obligation to be faithful. Now, faithful, I don't just mean
not sleeping around.
Yeah, sleeping around. Thank you so much. but I just mean faithful to whatever the goals and lifestyle and life that you guys have created together.
You talking about radical acceptance and like
Yeah.
choosing, because I think we had talked about this before. You got to have somebody, even though they got the faith, fitness, finances, somebody who's going to struggle with you too.
Mhm.
So yeah, all of that.
They can suffer with you. That was
Yeah.
the other creator that she had said that. And I just think people just don't really want to do that, because doing that means I have to accommodate, serve, and reimagine myself. Well, accommodate, serve the other person, and then reimagine myself and put the onus on my changes that I can make. And there's only so many enhancements you can make with yourself. What do you say? If me and you were 6'2", the game would be over?
Yeah. Only so many physical changes, but personality stuff. I want to jump in here because I sometimes feel like if you can look in the mirror and accept yourself, why is it so hard to accept other people? I'm not talking about just flaws. I'm talking about we look at ourselves so objectively. We know we got flaws. We know we got strengths and weaknesses, and we just put it all together and we just accept it neutrally as this is just how human beings are.
For those who do that, but yes.
Everybody does that for themselves.
No,
But
man,
we
there's a lot of
very
lack of
rarely do that
self-awareness.
for other people. No, bro. As long as I've been alive, I have never heard someone not have an issue or have an issue upholding their own thoughts and beliefs, having that self-positivity, but I have never seen somebody struggle with that.
I agree. Mel Brooks talks about that. I agree. Like, I love myself, or my self-preservation. No, I get that. I was talking about self-awareness that comes with putting the flaws in conversation with with the victories or the greatness that you quote unquote have. I'm just saying all that sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I got you. In that
Self-preservation, you're absolutely right.
conversation on the spectrum, people very rarely are like, I'm the worst person in the world. They may be like, I have flaws, this, that, and the third. Yes.
Yeah.
But
I've
this
made
is
some
what I
mistakes.
mean. We don't have this, we don't keep the same kind of smoke for our own self and our own comprehensive strengths and weaknesses like we do other people. We don't. We can always find a way to justify the wrong that we do, but we very rarely look to do that for others.
You know what's, but though, son, I agree with you on a whole. Again, so I'm not trying to be, manage by the exception, as my mentor, Joan, once said. But yes, overall, generally speaking, yes. So let's go with that. I agree with you. They don't keep the same energy as the young kids say.
And I sometimes feel like I wonder why it's so hard for us to do that. Why there's such a disconnect, why there's such a dissonance between, because I think about this verse, judge not lest ye be judged. For with the same measure you mete out to others, it's going to come back to you. And you would think that would stop people from having so much smoke for others and what they do and looking and scrutinizing other people and what they do in this community over here and this, that, and the third, and working out your own or minding your own salvation with fear and trembling and keeping the focus on you. Before you see the beam in somebody or speck in somebody else's eye, seeing the beam in your own, like we always look at somebody else's speck as a beam and see our beam as a speck. And I wonder what the disconnect is when we don't have an issue or have that self-positivity bias, when we can see our flaws, our nastiness, our dirt, the grit, the grime, all that we are, but somehow only like have a neutral or objective viewpoint opinion of the wrong that we do, but we have such a visceral and judgmental reactions to the wrong that other people do. And I say that because I bring that up because when we talk about sometimes why relationships or dating is where it is today, I feel like it's a lack of awareness. Like
I agree.
And
the introspection
from that,
episode.
yes, from that introspection, I realized that, and I've been raise my hand the highest on this, where I've had a time where I was so interested in how I felt about what others were doing. I wasn't looking at my own stuff. And now that I have that introspection, it's very rarely about, is someone good enough for me or not? I just really want to know, will someone accept me the way that they accept themselves? That's what moves the needle for me. Like I can't I don't want to be with somebody. I don't want somebody to want to be with me just because to your point, am a fulfillment of the customized list that they have for themselves.
He's light skinned, he's tall, he's charming, his teeth, his hat,
so as long as those boxes are checked, I'm worthy of love. any one of those combination of boxes now maybe
It's a little,
evolves. Does the love go with? And that's what I mean when I say I need to know somebody's with me for me. That radical acceptance. I want somebody to accept me the way that they accept themselves. That to me is what love feels like. I don't even know how we got there. But
well, we got there because I had responded, and then now you were responding about this particular piece as it relates to behaviors and the emotions and the personalization and customization that you see
right.
is a rampant part of the dating scene now. It's part of the larger culture, but it's obviously now in part of our dating lives, our dating lives. And with that personalization and customization comes, I'm trying to control you because I see these defects or these flaws. But in me, you know, I came shipped from the warehouse completely correct. Ready, you box me open, you turn me on, I'm like an Apple product. I'm ready to go.
All
And
my defects aren't as bad as yours.
say again. Oh yeah,
All my defects aren't as bad as yours. Yeah.
yeah. And I've been guilty of that too. You know, and I think that's just part of the dialogue around self-preservation, pain avoidance, and selfish.
That pain avoidance is real.
Yeah, I mean, people have been hurt. Legitimately, people have been betrayed. They've been beguiled. They've been soothsayed. People they've been victims of soothsayers, and they have suffered as a consequence. And now, when they're back out in the dating world, they're trying to prevent that type of scenario happening. And that's right, rightfully so. And you get in a situation where now you like this person enough, or you think they're good enough, or like you said, it's a checklist.
Yeah.
And they meet the checklist. But if I could just fit this one piece right on if I can get the G4 wings right on the Honda, then we'll be able to get on the tarmac at Teterboro, and then now we could drive and fly off Teterboro.
Yeah.
You hear yourself? Do you hear yourself? You're attaching wings to a Honda to get the car to fly.
When they're perfectly good airplanes.
Don't you think if people could do that, they would
It
be
would already been
millionaires?
done.
A whole
Already been
cottage
done.
industry.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You would already be in one. That's probably built better than what you're trying to build right now, because they would have had engineers
Correct.
already work out the kinks and make it a better, more polished product than what you're doing.
Correct.
But you're literally driving the Teterboro talking about, before we get there, let's put these G4 wings on there and let's see if we get some in-flight movie service. Can we get a stewardess in there too?
Man, yeah.
In your Honda CRV, ma'am? Sir?
Where's the jump seat? Where they gonna sit?
Yeah, exactly. Oh no, the windshield will hold. What's all that pressure? The windshield will hold. Don't worry about
Craziness.
that glass will hold.
Craziness.
And I think we do that because pain avoidance, but also we're trying to get to this idealized vision, this fantasy of relationships that I do think has been fueled by the explosion of romance media that has become even more important since the 80s. But like I tell people, you wouldn't watch Commando, Predator, Cobra by Stallone, Roadhouse, see how they fight in that movie, and then think that you learned how to fight properly and go in the street and take on 8 men the way Patrick Swayze did or the way Stallone did, right? You would do that. At least if you did, you would find out very quickly that that's a movie and now you're, in hell.
Mm-hmm.
In a very bad reality.
Facts.
You shouldn't look at the rom-coms or the lifestyle of people in rom-coms or romance films and think that now is you're trained enough or conditioned enough or ready enough to be loved and be loving, because those are scripts just like Commando's a script. Now, there's elite soldiers who can probably operate at a level close to that, but even they would tell you, I'm not trying to fight 8 dudes. I'd have a 9mm, and then there'd be 8 dead dudes. Not because of my bare hands, but if you mean my bare hands holding a gun, yes, then yes, by my bare hands. Just like you would see people who've managed love talk about, yeah, I mean, we had that Sleepless in Seattle date or two, but the rest of it's been this because of these external factors we had to manage and these internal factors we had to manage. And we've been successful, but they had to be managed. They weren't going to be ignored and then just politely excuse themselves out of our relationship. It doesn't work like that. Put on its fedora and its trench coat and just slowly tiptoe out of your relationship. No, they're here to stay. And if you're going to have to deal with them, you're going to have to manage them or eventually get them out. But that's both scenarios are management issues for you and your partner. And people don't want to deal with that.
Yeah.
They're very difficult. They can be they seem intractable, like they're just never going away, like they're permanent fixtures in your relationship. Some will be and some won't be. But, and I say some won't be, meaning they'll present themselves as such. And then as you continue to move it, you can, get it out of your relationship. Yeah. And I just think that people aren't prepared for really what relationships are when we talk about the type of relationships that are romance centered. Now, we got relationships that are convenience centered and
Mm-hmm.
business centered. We've had those for millennia in the human society. Okay, your father owns that land and my father owns that land, and we have clans, and we have people, and here come these other dudes trying to come in. So our marriage is not only just a financial or resource bridge, it's a political bridge to forge an alliance with clans to withstand these encroaching dudes who they mean business. They come in here, they ain't coming in here to, tickle feet and
Right.
kiss babies. They
Ain't
coming
no
in here
patty
to,
cake.
yeah, exactly. So this is why our marriage exists. Now, you may be sleeping with that guy and I may be sleeping with that gal, but we're going to keep it at a certain level. People may know, but it's going to be the open secret, and we're going to proceed forward. You need to give me a seed. I need to give you a seed.
Mm-hmm.
We make sure that heir is my baby and of my bloodline. And then after that, we make decisions. You give me, I scratch your back, you scratch mine. Before you know it, this marriage is over. One of us is dead. Like, I think that's how people looked at it back then. And even now for marriages who do that. But if you talk about a romance-centered marriage where you're making somebody a part of your spiritual fulfillment in this life, now you're talking about a different setup, a different structure, a different approach. And you're going to need different skills and different communities and different supports to get you from point A to point Z successfully. And I think a lot of us just don't know that. We see the political marriage thinking I could do that. In a romance-centered marriage, if someone's like, well, I paid half the bills, or I took care of you, I did X in the checklist. Now you want me to sit here and watch Friends?
Didn't sign up for that.
Yeah, nah, homie, this is supposed to
I
be...
handle my obligations, my duties and responsibilities. Now you asking me for something else.
Yeah. So now you want romance, which is fine. There's still going to be duty and obligation, because not every time you feel romantic may feel different, because you're changing as a human being. So what you wanted in the beginning of the relationship is different than what you want in 5 or 6 years later. And now that person has to adjust, and you're going to have to be patient, and you're still going to have to love them, because guess what? You changed, but I didn't. You still got to give me that stuff. And maybe you got to give me that stuff while I'm still learning to give you your new stuff. Now you have to love out of behavior and obligation because you wanted to be in a romance-centered marriage. This is why I believe some of the arguments that people are making about polyamory are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, not just because, and I'm not trying to denigrate polyamory. I don't know much about it. We've talked to people who've done that and swingers, but I think that some people may be looking at polyamory as a way to solve that problem of my romance keeps changing and I need new inputs. But new inputs come from a person. Again, that other person who's going to provide that new input is not a product that can be customized. If that's your calculus, if that's your mindset that you can customize, upgrade, and put a G4 wings on a Honda, and then all of a sudden, now you're going to be able to fly. Whether you do that with one people, you do that with multiple people, it's never going to work, because you're operating out of a space of control and calibration, as opposed to, as you said, Jay, radical acceptance and love.
Yeah.
Radical acceptance and love is still
do you think that's more of the exception in all categories of groups, monogamy, polyamory, everything? The people who are that's more of on the fringes. That's not the norm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm saying in a romance-centered scenario, because people could be in polyamory for a business scenario.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For business purposes. You own this land, I own that land. They own that land. You know what we're going to do?
To make sure we keep this land. My seeds flow with his seeds, marry his seeds. Hey, that's how we keep thing. Money all up in the family. Facts, no doubt.
Now, you're talking about romance-centered polyamory. You're going to have to do radical acceptance and patience and love and obligation, just like this woman said.
Yeah.
You're never going to beat it if you're doing romance. That's like saying, I'm going to do engineering without math. Then you're not an engineer.
You're not doing engineering. Yeah, you're not engineering anything. Yeah. I'm going to take a shower without the water.
Yeah, when I take a shower, it's going to be a wetless shower. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
We have to be real with ourselves. And I'm saying, come on, guys. I'm part of Come On, Guys. I am guys.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Absolutely.
This is not me being preachy. I am guys. Because the calling of love, meaning there's a deeper spiritual fulfillment. There's not just, I'm horny, I'm lonely, and I'm this, and let me respond to it, let me scratch that itch. The calling of love is to serve and to be patient and to realign and reimagine and keep coming back to fight and fight and fight for an opportunity to show and be loving to that person and yourself in this relationship, context that you guys are operating in. Polygyny, polyamory, sub-poly with this, with monogamy that, It all's gonna come with radical acceptance if it's romance centered.
I think even if it's business centered, because they gotta radically accept that I'm not attracted to this person. They gotta radically accept that my heart is actually with this person over here, but I know my family's supposed to, they promised me to this person, or we got to keep XYZ intact for our collective community. So that's radical acceptance too.
Yeah, I just think how it's managed though, sometimes it may be by more checklist. Where someone was romance centered, they were managing by checklist. I'd be like, yo, listen.
What's that
I'd be
advice
side
going?
eyeing them like, listen,
Hey, let me talk to you for
that
come on.
may work for about 24 months. And then things are going to happen. People are going to get sick. Grandmas are going to need to be picked up and dropped off for surgery. Kids come and need to be picked up and dropped off for piano lessons. Real life happens. And while managing it through a checklist is helpful, judging and evaluating the relationship off the checklist in a romantic relationship is going to be problematic.
Yeah,
If it's
that's super
business,
problematic. Super
if
problematic.
it's business, then that's what we did this for. And
Right.
you can manage business processes with checklists. People are always going to have emotions, but it's going to come back to listen, you see this?
This is the
profits?
agreement, right? These
Yeah,
are
this
the
is the
terms of the
agreement.
agreement.
Yeah,
This is
exactly.
we go back to. This is what bonds us together. This agreement.
Yeah, we agreed to have side lovers, but I see yours leaving at 5. The agreement was 4. Now I didn't let it slide a couple times the last couple months, but now the kids are coming home and
They
you know what I'm
got
saying?
questions or they looking. Come on, yo, we got to keep it
Now I
together.
need you to manage.
We
Yeah,
violating
you
the
get it together.
agreement. Yeah, how could two walk together
Unless they be agreed.
Man, you can really do anything with agreement, huh? You can really do
You can
anything
do
in
anything with
agreement.
agreement. I mean, it's the most powerful force to me in the world because I always tell people who are married, if you two can be on the same page and stay on the same page consistently, there's going to be this.
Mm-hmm.
But as long as it's not this deep dips, sometimes there's going to be some acceptable dips. You guys are unstoppable.
And
Look
even
at
if
Jay
there are
Bezos,
extreme
McKinsey
dips,
Bezos. Yeah.
even if there are extreme dips, y'all are so close. Y'all are able to navigate that together, so it's less of a burden.
I said, look at Jeff Bezos and McKinsey Bezos. They took Amazon to where they did. They started it together. Look at Vince and Linda McMahon. Again, people that I'm not just saying decent people I admire, but they got through and weathered together, and they had their understandings.
Mm-hmm. And their
And
agreements.
you could say it was business. You could say it was love, or it was love that turned into business. But, they made it happen for each other. Yeah. Can you make it happen for your person? And if you do, that's great. It's going to require something out of you. And it's called obligation, discipline, consistency, and intimacy. And your intimacy will be disciplined.
Yeah, like she said, that love is going to be a behavior. You do it not to say you do it out of duty, but that's how it's going to show up. You know what? I know they pissed me off today, or they've been pissing me off for the last couple of years. I mean, I really could go out there and do X, Y, and Z, but you know what? Not going to do that. Yeah. I made a vow not to, and I'm going to keep it right here. That coworker, she been bringing me lunch all week. Sheila been so nice. I know you like that name. Yeah, I know you like that name. Sheila been so nice this week. Kimberly been so nice this week. They've been bringing me lunch and, I just see how you just take care of everybody around here. Always got the compliments. Oh, you been working out? I'm just like, come on, man. And all of a sudden,
you back at the hotel.
For real.
And you go home and you find a way to sustain yourself instead of doing that. But yeah, that romance-centered marriage is a different beast. And I think it's relatively new for most people because what's happening is, again, you're combining the customization culture with what gurus are saying is the service culture, the obligation culture, and those aren't really
meant to,
meshing that well.
Yeah, they're oil and water.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's a lot of people failing trying to mix that oil and water, and they're taking that romance-centered approach and trying to, or the business-centered approach and trying to apply it to a romance-centered marriage, and it's like, it's not going to work.
Or that, that me, customizable culture, and put it with, service-oriented culture, radical acceptance. They're putting those G4 wings on that Honda.
Right.
And really believing if they go down the tarmac at 80 miles per hour, it's going to take off. And you end up in the water, you end up crashing on the grass. And it's like, well, I never wanted to be with you anyway. Yeah, but look at what you were doing. You're a fool. And look, we've all been a fool.
Everybody plays a fool.
Plays the fool.
Sometime. There's no exception to the rule. Listen, baby.
So, I tell anybody who wants a romance-centered marriage to start with their commitment to service. There's not to end there, but it has to start there.
Yeah. Lead with that. And that really may take some time for you to develop.
Yeah.
really makes
Oh,
it really
absolutely.
may take some time for people to develop, for people to heal enough, for people to process some of, old issues and baggage that they may have with old relationships. It really may take some time to that before you can be like, when I hear people say, I feel like I'm open to love again, I feel like that's when they're getting back to that place. When it's like, you know
Yeah.
what, for a while I was out here bitter. I was just slaying broads, or I was out here just, going on foodie dates and taking these dudes' money or whatever. But now I feel like I can actually listen to a guy again, or I can actually
Mhm.
believe a woman again. I feel like that's when people are starting to show that they're in that place,
Yeah.
that they're ready to
Mhm.
lead with understanding again and lead with acceptance again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a beautiful thing.